Here we are. Welcome and good morning. Good morning to everyone on LinkedIn Live. Good morning to everyone on YouTube. Welcome to Smart Impressions. I'm Rachel Muleman, your host. And here we are at Smart Impressions, really unlocking business relationships one connection at a time. So I hope you got your coffee or your tea. We're going to have a great conversation here this morning because our conversation's all about unveiling the impact of effective leadership. And I have someone very special who's an ex-billion-dollar regional CFO and sales director who's worked with over 25 years companies with the big boys like Sony and BlackBerry and Virgin. He's the founder and CEO of Thrive, who's a leadership and team coaches to create leadership teams and cultures that achieve great results. Thank you so much for being here, Damian.
Thank you, Rachel. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? There's a lot, but you did awesome. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Absolutely. Well, this is an exciting moment to really just dive into organizations. You know, we talk about a number of different things that impact sales professionals, revenue generating for businesses to sustain. And I think there's nothing more important than the leaders that drive these organizations. And that's where you're coming into play. So it's amazing what you do. And I can't wait to hear all this impact that you have for specifically the Middle East region.
Thank you.
I guess, you know, I'd really like to start this out. We only have 15 minutes, so it's quick and easy, and everyone likes to get a little bit of insight. But, you know, leadership, there's no doubt they are a pivotal factor in any organization for it to reach what we define as success, right? And having resilience within this organization. Why is leadership, or how does it really kind of impact the rest of the organization, you know, to achieve that success, whatever it may be for those clients that you deal with today?
I love what you said about, you know, one connection at a time, because for me, that's at the very core of leadership. Leadership is about being human. It's about taking responsibility, and the people at the top of the organization have such a huge impact. There's been studies that show if, for example, the CEO of an organization are ex-military, the company is 60 to 70% less likely to commit corporate fraud. So there's just one person has such a large impact. If we improve just trust in the CEO as a measure of having control for everything else, then the amount of patents created by an organization goes up by 6%. So we just increase just trust in the leader, in the CEO, and innovation goes up by 6%. It's a huge impact just from that one person. Leadership being a relationship, and we'll move more into that, I guess. Nothing happens outside of relationship. You can have all of the great strategies you want, but if people aren't really invested in it, if they don't really care, if they don't believe in you and don't trust you, then it's not going to become executed. To answer your question about what the responsibilities of a leader is, though, I guess from my perspective, it's about what Collins calls the hedgehog, about understanding what the business is passionate about, what they are best at in the world, and how that correlates with driving their economic engine. So to do that, leaders need to get really clear on what the purpose is, because this is why people get out of bed. It's not their salaries, because the impact of that diminishes over time. What else? Oh yeah, sorry, go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you know, I listened to one of your previous, or I read one of your previous posts, looking at data from Gallup, and that reminded me that in MENA, Middle East and Africa specifically, 85% of people are disengaged with their jobs. 20% of those are actively disengaged. They're trying to sabotage the organization. And values-based organizations have staff that are 4 times more engaged. And with that engagement, with a lack of engagement, staff are 20% less productive, have less productivity. So we're doing all of this. What I see in leaders and hear about leaders doing is pushing really hard to make results happen. But actually, if we just slow down and ensure that everybody's clear on the purpose of the organization and that the values of the organization are embedded and operationalized, and everybody is really clear on how we do things around here, then it has a massive impact on profitability. And this is what frustrates me and why I'm so passionate about this, because toxicity just drives negative profitability in the long run. It doesn't work.
Clearly. I mean, some of these statistics you shared are kind of they're mind-blowing. 85% of people not engaged. So I kind of want to tap right into that. Like, if you're a leader listening, and we got a lot of leaders on the call that listen and jump in to find out, more insights. So how do you uncover who those 85% of people are? Where are they getting this insight? And we'll get to what they could do about it, but really kind of what that seems like a pretty big problem, because obviously HR staff turnover is one of the highest costs of any business, but especially in this region, you probably have some more statistics around that. But this disengagement, clearly results, right? So you're going to have some red flags that jump up in the organization. Sales will be one of them. Maybe staff turnover will be another one, right? So I like to really identify like these problem areas that you're tapping into and really uncovering for organization, or at least, helping them solve and find a solution around this. But what are kind of the big pain points that you're running into, that you're seeing?
Well, that's a great question. So typically, and at Thrive, we've done over 13,000 hours of executive coaching, and worked with hundreds of teams. And what we keep seeing again and again is that our leaders are suffering with the same three problems, or similar. One is attracting and retaining the right people. And especially in this region, 53%, for example, of IT decision makers are looking to change roles in the next year. It's a massively fluid market. Wow. And people are really suffering from not only losing their best people. And remember, every time you lose someone, the indirect costs, if we build that in, is about twice their annual salary. So if you're losing someone on say, 1 million dirhams a year, the cost to the business is 2 million dirhams, and yet we're not investing in the things that keep people around. The second point that we see all of the time after attracting, retaining, is getting people aligned. As businesses scale, they start creating silos and there's infighting, and people aren't clear on what the overarching goals of their team is, so that they can sacrifice their own budget or targets for the greater good. So that's the second point. And the third is achieving results, because it's all very nice, coaches coming in and doing this fluffy stuff, but the point is, if you don't hit the results, your business would cease to exist, and we can't support an entity that doesn't exist. So hitting the results, getting everybody aligned, and attracting and retaining the same people. And the thing that really moves the needle on all of this, and I'm going to paraphrase and quote my favorite author, Patrick Lencioni, is that it's not strategy, it's not finance, it's not even technology, it is teamwork that is the ultimate competitive advantage, both because it's so effective and because it's so rare. And this is why we are so passionate about what we do, based on Lencioni's work and incorporating many others and our own experience. We believe that the best way to create a culture that hits results is to start with trust foundations. And this is the kind of trust where people are able to say, I need help, or I'm not feeling good about this, or I've messed up. And of course, what we do here, and this kind of answers your question about how to find out, how engaged people are, is because leaders need to listen. They need to build genuine, caring relationships. There's a wonderful work by Feltman about trust, and he says it breaks it down into 4 different areas. The first is people doing what they say. Second is saying what they mean. The third is, are they competent to do what they say they're going to do, or ask for help? Again, because in a trusting environment, you can ask for help. But the most important part is care, that people feel like the leaders have their interests at heart when they make decisions.
I love that. Wow,
go on.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no, please.
Yeah, I mean, I love that because this authenticity keeps coming back, and this is about human connections, which I'm really passionate about. But there's such this parallel between leaderships and organizations internally, salespeople and their customers externally. And I feel like even within an organization, the leaders are selling themselves to the employees, right? So there's that engagement there, and vice versa, right? Of that building the trust and credibility. And that, I think, I love that because I share those values. You're passionate about doing essentially the same thing for different types of people that we work together with, and I love that the process is very, very similar. So I want to invite anyone that's listening, that's a leader, or even in an organization where you feel you can't trust your leader. Maybe you have a question, for Damian that you want to jump in and jump on to the comment section. As I mentioned, we all have a short time. We got 11 minutes left, and I want to jump right into, fostering a human or a positive work culture, because that becomes a huge significant part of driving, some really positive change within an organization. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I love what when you bring sales into this. From my perspective, we also teach sales techniques to finance professionals in some of the biggest companies in the world, because what selling is creating influence, getting people to buy your ideas and your perspectives, especially in very large organizations. It's all about sales. And as you know much better than I, that starts with relationship, building rapport, and then asking powerful questions. And this is the same techniques when we need to build a culture that is humane and effective. Once we've built trust, we can then design how to be together with conflict. Because if people aren't able to skillfully deal with conflict, they will avoid it, and then they won't feel heard. They won't say, this is a rubbish idea, I'm not into this at all. And only when they feel heard and people have really had it out with each other. And you want them to get really passionate and have heated arguments, but in a way that people know that their relationships aren't at risk. So once we've built trust and given the skills to have healthy conflict, then we have the ability then to really create the values of the organization, or moreover, operationalize and rediscover them. Because they're there. You will have values. They might not be the values you want, but they're going to be there. And by digging into real stories with the teams and listening, again, as a leader, most of the role is around listening. We'll come back to this later, I guess. But listening to the real stories and understanding the actions that we take when we're at our best, moving in the direction of our purpose. And of course, if people aren't clear on their purpose, then they won't be motivated, not in the long term. They won't be motivated to go above and beyond.
No doubt. Yeah. God, I just had this thought. I think it would be amazing. Imagine a world where every organization had a psych department where you can come and dish the dirt of all the things that frustrate you, and just get it out. And somehow, there would be some kind of channel of communication to help. And, I always say, like, breaking up is hard to do. I know that organizations always have these exit questionnaires, and I just feel like, why? It's too late. If only you got it earlier in the organization, maybe there's an opportunity of saving that relationship. But listen, with less than a minute left, we're going to extend the time because I know it's so valuable, hard to keep the good stuff short, but I want to invite you to please, what are 3 essential tips that people listening can initiate, or at least be aware of, and start being, executing some kind of solution and steps in achieving, great leadership within their organization? Give me top 3 that you love to share.
I can do that in less than a minute, I think.
Okay.
Leadership starts with authenticity. Otherwise, you won't have the connection that you referred to at the beginning. You won't have a deep human connection unless you're being authentic, because we can tell. And that we get to be authentic by being clear on our own personal values and seeing how they align with the organization values and being consistent with that, being intentional about how we're behaving. The second thing I would suggest is building trust. And again, we can do that just by slowing down and asking powerful questions that you would use in sales, asking what and how, never why, because that makes people feel defensive, but just slowing down and getting really curious about the human in front of you to build trust. And then being absolutely clear about purpose. If you want to get people to build a boat, don't teach them to use a hammer and nails and a saw. Get them to dream about what's over the horizon. So that's my top 3.
Okay. So dream over the horizon. I'm just writing this down for everyone to hear in the group, so tip 3 is dream. I like it. I like it a lot. Damian, it's amazing to have you here. I love sharing your knowledge. You've been helping me so much in my business and really kind of find those values that align with me. So no matter what I do, is I could go back to those values. And it's kind of like my little fairy godmother over here telling me, yeah, do it. Or at least saying, no, don't even think about it, Rachel. So I can't thank you enough. My gratitude is endless for your expertise and impact to my life and the people around you and the organizations that are taking a moment to invest in making this happen and part of the lifestyle and the culture within their organization. So if what can I say? You make a magic happen for people that around the world, and really it does matter because these are our lives. This is what we do majority of our time, and our positivity, our mental ability, our mental status is so important within our organizations. And so keep leading. What can I say? I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your expertise around effective leadership today. Thank you.
No, it's great. And when I grow up, I'm going to communicate as effectively as you. I love listening to the way that you communicate, especially through media.
Thank you. Well, it's great to have you here. Again, Smart Impressions, helping by bringing my connections one step at a time closer to the best business relationship you can have in your life today, tomorrow, and the rest of your life. So stay connected on LinkedIn. We're sponsored by Dripify, which is this incredible platform to connect with more people automatically. So you don't have to waste time doing it yourself. Automate it, free your time, connect, get out there and make a difference in your life. That's another Smart Impressions this Tuesday. I'll see you next Tuesday, everyone. Thanks again. Have a great and beautiful day.